Welcome back to NostalgiaCast. I'm Darin.
And I'm Jonny.
And today we'll be discussing Kimba the White Lion, directed by Aichi Yem. Oh, wait, no. That's not right. Oh, okay. Hamlet Bambi. No, wait, that's not right. No, The Lion King. The Lion King from 1994, directed by Rob Minkoff and Roger Allers, featuring the voices of Jeremy Irons, James Earl Jones, Matthew Broderick, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Nathan Lane, Ernie Sabella, Rowan Atkinson, Moira Kelly, Robert Guillaume, Whoopi Goldberg, Cheech Marin, the list goes on. Jonny, this is another very, very special episode. I've been friends with these two for a while and just been in awe of these two for a bit. And so I've always wanted to get them on our podcast. First up, I wanted to welcome the multi-talented and tireless Rachel Wagner. She's a prolific film and theater critic. She's founder of RachelReviews.net and RachelReviewsTheater.com, host of the Rachel's Reviews YouTube channel, the Onstage Blog podcast, Hallmarkies podcast, the Criterion Project podcast. I'll get to the Talking Disney Classics podcast in a second, but am I missing anything, Rachel? Or is there
I think you got it.
All right. That's good. That's a good number. And as I hinted at, Rachel also co-hosts the Talking Disney Classics podcast with the esteemed gentleman to her left, our right, whatever that is. Anyway, he's right by her. He is a prolific professional film critic and podcaster in his own right, a diehard Dodgers fan, host of the Movies Past and Present podcast and blog where he covers current and classic cinema. And like Rachel herself, he's a world-class conversationalist. I'd also like to welcome Stanford Clark to the podcast. How are you doing, Stanford?
Hey, I'm great. So happy to be here. And amen to everything you said about Rachel. I'm always in awe of her talents and how she never slows down. She's amazing. Superhuman.
She had so many podcasts, Jonny, and she's so busy. I feel bad because this was like her night off or something. She said, "Oh, I have the whole night," and I was like, "Oh, so I'm making you actually do something instead of resting." So anyway.
Great to be with you all.
Thank
you.
Right, Jonny. You miss Utah? We're all living in Utah, but you're not living in Utah. How does that make you feel?
You have no idea how much I miss it. I want to come back home so bad. I'm working on it. It might happen soon. Never know.
Okay.
We'll see.
And again, once you do, we'll just have a podcasting party, I guess. So anyway, like I said, I've been fans of Rachel and Stanford for so long. Rachel's podcast is one of those where you listen to it and you're like, again, in awe of her energy and her tirelessness. And then I can't remember how. I think it was a conversation on Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And I was like, hey, let's not pick on that one because I really love that one. And then that's where we started being really good friends. And then obviously I started following you on your podcast and then obviously listening to Stanford. And so just being able to be in your same orbit, Rachel, and your same orbit, Stanford, being friends with you and having, conversations with you in the same state is just something really special to me. And so I've really appreciated, again, your friendship and the relationship that we've had. I'm in awe of both of you.
Oh, well, you're very sweet. The great thing about being a movie fan is you always have something to talk about with anybody. Almost everybody at least likes some movie, and so you can always find something to talk about, or maybe something that they don't like, one or the other. And that's great. And I remember when we first met Stanford, we went to a re-release of All About Eve. And then we just hung out after and just chatted for it was just one of those things that just made sense.
Oh. Is that how you remember it, Stanford?
Absolutely. It was so great. Except when I discovered that Rachel hated the Rescuers, and then that's just been kind of a sore point. Yeah,
it was dicey there.
Stanford, we all hate the Rescuers.
I was gonna say I'm the only one. I know I'm the only person in America that likes that movie.
No, you stand up. You stand up and you defend it. That's great. Okay, so I haven't really had a chance to ask you both, each of you, this on a separate basis. But if you could explain again, the whole point of having guests on NostalgiaCast is to make our listeners fall in love with you and become like your listeners. So we'll start with Rachel. If you could explain, Rachel, how you got to be a movie fan and how you got to start all your blogs and your podcasts, and just let us know how you became to be the prolific Rachel Wagner.
There's a long answer to a short question there. I'll try not to go too far. I've always really loved film, and it's interesting because my parents are not movie people, media people at all. I don't know if I know two people that are so unaffected by any, most people I feel have their thing, that they love, whether it's a band that they love or a show that they got super into or anything. My parents that's just not. My mom likes to read. My dad, and she likes to paint too. She likes to draw. My dad likes sports, but yeah, neither of them are movie people, hardly at all. And so it's really interesting that I just always loved it. I loved going to the movies, and for me growing up, it was really important that I be treated like an adult. I didn't like being little. I didn't like being a kid. My first word that I ever said was stop, which is hilarious. And so I just didn't I wanted to be taken seriously. And I vividly remember that when I went and saw Fantasia at the re-release of Fantasia at the Villa Theater in Utah, which I have fond memories of the Villa, RIP. But going to seeing that, and that was like a grown-up movie.
Yeah.
That was like, go to Fantasia. I was like to be taken seriously. And I wanted people to take my opinions seriously. And the one thing I think that my mom was good at, even though she didn't care about movies at all, she was good about talking about it with us. What did you like about it? Why did you like it? I think partly because she was somewhat mystified, like, why did you like it so much? And so she was good about having those discussions. And I got used to that. I thought that's the way every family was. And I used to love reading criticism. Of course, I would get Leonard Maltin's book every year that he used to put out, the Great Movie Guide. And I was just a regular, when we had television, I was a regular Siskel and Ebert watcher. I watched Gene Shalit with the giant mustache. Anytime I could watch a critic, I just loved it. Even though it was movies a lot of times that I would never be allowed to see in a million years, I was interested in what Roger Ebert had to say about Goodfellas, or something like that was interesting to me, even though I never would have been allowed to see a movie like that in a million years. So that was just how I was brought up. And I remember going to college, and we went and saw Chocolat with my friends, and I didn't like it. I haven't seen it since. Maybe I'd like it now, but at the time I didn't like it. I was like, it was so cliche and blah, 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 blah. And I was talking about it, and I didn't like the way the characters were portrayed or the script. And my friend looks at me and she says, Rachel, we just wanted to enjoy the movie. I was just like, you mean you didn't want to hyperanalyze and talk about it after? Like, what? And that was a big eye opener. I was like, oh, not everybody's like my parents. Okay.
I love how all four of us from our faces have had that exact same conversation with people.
Yeah. As far as actually like becoming a critic, it's kind of crazy because I was something I always loved. Like I said, I always loved criticism. And then in 2014, I tore the MCL of my knee. And so I'd always wanted to watch the whole Disney canon. And I'd been a blogger for some time, but just like occasionally would review movies because I just loved it. Like I remember doing quite a bit on Frozen at the time. But anyway, in 2014, I tore the MCL of my knee, and I was like, I need something to do because I was basically immobile for like 3 months. Yeah. And I decided that I was going to review the Disney canon. That was something I'd always wanted to do. And so I set up my website at the time. I was horrible, like SEO and everything, because everything had different names, and it was 54 Disney reviews. And that's all I was going to do. I was just going to review the canon. I was going to move on with my life. And I loved it, and I loved writing about it. And so I just started doing more and more and more reviews. And in fact, this is a funny story. When I got added to Rotten Tomatoes, the Christmas before, I had done a Rankin Bass series, and they're not the best, those Rankin Bass shorts. Let's be real. And I did a post about Frosty the Snowman and how I didn't like it. And I'd gotten kind of jaded at that point because I'd watched like 30 of those, shorts in a row. Anyway, and some poor sad soul had to go through all of my stuff and put them onto Rotten Tomatoes when they added me. Oh my gosh. And so I got all of these, I started getting these emails and people who are upset that I gave a rotten score to Frosty the Snowman. How could you not score?
How dare you?
Happy birthday. He says happy birthday.
I'm like, this is Christmas, and I got score. But yeah, it's actually been 10 years this year that I first started podcasting. It was the lead up to The Force Awakens. My friends Jamie and Abby, they were married at the time, and the two of them joined me. We reviewed all the Star Wars movies, and it was just like a Google Hangout. It was really rough, no editing, but that's how you learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just on from there. And I started Hallmarkies podcast in 2017, and we started talking Disney in 2018. So yeah, it's just been on Stage Blog. Just started last year. That was a new thing, so that was really fun. And it's just been a great ride.
Well, before I ask Stanford where he got us, Rachel, how do you do it?
I know, that's the question that we all have. Like, Rachel, you're amazing. How do you do it?
I do think that my mission actually helped a lot with that, of like having kind of the learning to fill almost every hour with something, and having that not feel like a burden, that it's just, you just get used to, like, the human brain has an amazing ability to just adapt to routine. Right. And so now it's almost unusual that I don't have an evening commitment. I'm so used to either going to a movie screening or going to a show almost every night. That's just what I'm used to. Like, it doesn't feel exceptional. It just feels like that's just what I do, and I also am a horrible insomniac. So that
helps.
That doesn't hurt. But yeah, I think I really try to have something thoughtful almost every hour of almost every day.
Wow.
And that's it. And I don't know, like, I very rarely am just like vegging. It's just not the way I think in my brain.
Not you. Okay. Well, Stanford, I don't think I've ever seen your eyebrows raised so high. If you wanted to explain to us, how did you become Stanford Clark? Where did your love for movies start, and how did you start with podcasting and your movies past and present blog? All of that.
You're kind to ask. I mean, my eyebrows I'm just in awe of Rachel's, energy and ability. Holy smokes.
I couldn't do it without Stanford. He's been so amazing.
Oh, you're so kind. This is so fun. So, my love of movies started as a child. My family, we would go to movies. We went to probably, every time there was a new movie, particularly from the Disney studios, we'd go to the theater and see it. Mm-hmm. My mother had a deep, abiding love for film, and I think probably she's the one who really taught me the most as a young child, because she loved classic films from her. I mean, as we review as classic films, films from her youth.
Yeah,
and she grew up in the 40s and in the 30s and the 40s, so the prime, like, some of the most amazing films, Hollywood films ever made, at least, right, from that time period. So she introduced me to just great MGM musicals,
right?
Dramas, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers movies. Those were some of her favorite, and so I really feel like a film school from my dear mother. In the sometime in the 1990s, I came across a book. It's the Hallowell's Film Guide. I don't know if you've ever seen those or heard of those.
Oh my gosh, I actually have a copy of the Hallowell's Film Guide just right above my shoulder here.
Nice. Okay, Darin, that is so cool.
And he had the famous, like, his 4-star. He only had 4, 3, 2, and 1, and the 1 star is movies that are like failed almost me, and the 2s are solids, 3s are excellent, and 4s are the one. His rating system is odd, but I love how it kind of
I love it too. And and it was in a way kind of a revelation for me. I mean, I learned so much about it, and it really opened up my mind to different films. So then I just really started becoming I don't know if the right word is, just kind of a maniac. I mean, my family calls me the movie slut, but I do have standards. I try to have standards.
Yeah, wait till you hear our Muppets episode coming up.
Like, oh, wow.
I know. You think that, but yeah.
Bookmark.
Right. But and then with the advent of the Turner Classic Movies cable network, I mean, forget about it. That's kind of in a way my film school is my escape. I have so many friends that love TV series and TV programs, and they're always trying to get me to watch different things. I feel like I'm the only person in the world that never watched Game of Thrones and stuff like that. But it's a lot of it is just because I'd much rather watch a movie on Turner Classic Movies or something,
Yeah.
so I feel in so many ways that I'm just kind of self-taught, but it's just out of a combination of a passion of how much I love storytelling. Uh, I was an English major in college. And I think a lot of that is just because I love storytelling. I love good writing,
Hmm.
and I love finding that and discovering that in movies. I also though love how movies brings together so many different art forms. It brings together beautiful or can be beautiful, but just the visual element of it, the cinematography, the costumes, the acting, uh, just what a wonderful visual medium is as well as well as the writing. So I just think it's just such a fantastic art form. I also love that. I mean, for the most part, you can watch a movie in 2 hours. I think that's another reason why I don't watch necessarily a lot of
Yeah.
TV, because it's like, oh, I don't want to watch a series that's got 30 episodes or whatever, whatever it is. My passion for it continues. My podcast started honestly just kind of on a whim, but thinking, I love movies. Why don't I just talk about it and try it? And I think I wanted to learn somewhat the medium. We were trying to do some different. I work in writing and communications and training. Is my profession, and we were looking at some different ways at work to try to communicate better with employees, and so I thought, well, maybe if we created an employee podcast.
Oh.
So we tried some of that at work, and then I thought, well, forget this work stuff. Let me just do it on my own, on my own about a topic that I like.
Yeah.
So that's where Movies Past and Present was born. And the title too, because again, I still go to a lot of current movies. I don't see everything, but I see a lot of things. And mostly, I mean, selfishly, I see just the stuff that I want to see, which is
Nice.
kind of fun. Because I mean, I can't say that I'm really a critic. I have opinions, and part of it, the reason I feel like I'm a critic because I'm pretty selective about what I see. I just won't. I just again, even though they do call me the movie slut, I just don't see everything. I
Yeah.
can't give opinions on everything, sadly,
Right.
or maybe not sadly, for whatever it's worth. But so the podcast has been fun, and then just getting the chance to meet Rachel, and so one of my favorite topics about movies is Disney. I'm a huge Disney fan. I think part of it is because I grew up with it, right? Going to Disney movies, but a huge fan of Disneyland Park. My father had a lot of business in I grew up in Salt Lake City, but my father had a lot of business in Southern California, and often he'd just pile the family in the station wagon and we'd go, and he'd drop us off at Disneyland with our mom, and then he'd go to work and then come back and meet us in the evening. And I think all of that is kind of stuck. Uh, and I've done, I don't know, maybe 3 canon watches of all of the films from Disney Feature Animation / Walt Disney Animation Studios, and that was so fun to connect with Rachel on that and to do that, and then just through her creativity and tenacity, we've carried on the Talking Disney podcast. How many episodes, Rachel, have we hit now? 100 and
106 or 7.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been so fun. And I can't
Really
even
fun.
believe it's been that many because it's just been such a delight. So, and then Darin, the chance to get to meet you, and get introduced to the great work that you and Jonny do. Because again, it's just right down my alley with my love of film. I just love the deep dives that you do and all the very interesting topics you bring up. And I just feel like I always learn something and have my cinematic horizons broadened, which is just something that I really, really love. So
Muppets will be 110. That'll be
okay.
110. Yeah. So yeah, and it was fun because I've also done Canon Watch 3 times now. And that third time, since we'd already done it twice in chronological order, we did it with the random number generator. So one week we'd be doing Home on the Range, and the next week Cinderella, and the next week. So that I thought was
It was a really fun way to do it.
It was a fun way to
it.
do it. Yeah.
Well, the question I have for both of you, or one of you, whoever wants to answer it, how did you guys meet, and where did the idea come from for the Talking Disney Classics? Did you meet at Disneyland or something? Like, how did this happen?
No, our mutual friend, kind of was our matchmaker. Like, not romantically so, but he thought that we would get along and we would be friends.
And then we were both from Utah. This was the thing. It's like, you're both from Utah. You should.
Our friend Mark Brown,
our buddy Mark.
Yeah, he was like, you two should. And the time we're both active on Twitter, and we started chatting, and we were like, let's go see All About Eve. And so we met, saw it, and we were just really hit it off. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we are our buddy Mark Brown, and also just proximity that we're both in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Well, you're both so knowledgeable. Rachel, again, you're knowledgeable about a wealth of things. Like, it seems Jonny and Stanford and I our knowledge is basically kept to movies. It seems like.
Movies. I know.
Oh,
yeah.
But again, Rachel, that energy and just being able to capture like all the different and attacking. Again, I know that people like to make fun of Hallmark movies, right? And I know that people jump into your replies and why would you review this? And it's like, well, somebody has to, right? And I'm like, it's like horror movies or action movies or, heaven forbid, Disney movies. Like, everybody needs to review something. There needs to be, and these.
Well, I mean, the truth is that I wouldn't have to review Hallmark movies if Hollywood was making rom-coms. I mean, literally this year, the only two rom-coms that are going to be released in theaters involve sexual assault and are rated R. Like, that's as good as we're getting. And and so it's Hollywood's fault. Like, if Hollywood doesn't want me to review Hallmark movies, then make some rom-coms that I can review. I would be thrilled. Right. They really put women who are the primary, although there are a lot of men who like Hallmark movies, they really kind of put women in a corner where if you want to watch a rom-com, where else do you have to go? You can watch teenage themed ones on Netflix. They tend to be the more, younger. And that's it. You have to watch them on Hallmark. That's the only place. And so it's I feel like, personally, I do feel like TV movies are kind of the underdog in the media landscape. People, they have small budgets. They put a lot of heart and soul into them. They try their best. Sure, they have flaws, but I think a lot of them are. I think a lot of people who make fun of Hallmark movies have actually never seen one, or they've seen a bad one, once. They a lot of times you can just tell, like, okay, you don't actually even know what you're talking about. Or they're just somebody who just doesn't like romantic comedies at all. And it's like, well, you wouldn't even like it if it was George Clooney and Julia Roberts in their heyday. So it's frustrating in that way. But I think that a lot of people, if they let me pick out one that I think would be a good one for them, I think that they would be like, you know what? That's charming. That's cute. It's sweet. And so,
yeah. Well, not to just focus.
Somebody's got to cover them.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to do it.
And not to pick on just the Hallmark. What I'm basically saying is there's a market for everything, right? I think with Hallmark movies and romantic comedies, it's like my aunt used to read romance novels, and it doesn't really matter what the language of the romance novel was or who. There were just specific beats that you would want to hit, and it's kind of like the F1 argument that you've been having, where it's like formula is comforting, right?
Yeah.
And that's what people want.
And this is why it baffles me, Hollywood's shunning of the romantic comedy, because literally almost none get released in the theaters. It has been completely subjugated to streaming. We had one mainstream romantic comedy in the last 5 years. It was Me Before You, which wasn't even that good. And so it's just like, it's just crazy to me, because you mentioned your mom in novels. Romance as a category is basically saving fiction right now. That's why it's so crazy. I don't understand why Hollywood is just like leaving this huge category of interested people that are extremely cheap to make that they could be doing. But no, it's like every movie, even the Bridget Jones, which is a profitable franchise that has always made money, even that was sent direct to streaming.
Yeah.
And it's like the romance category in fiction was 2/3 of adult fiction sales in 2021. 2/3.
So there's a market.
Huge market of very interested women who want these stories, and they really are kind of, and that's why Hallmark was so brilliant, but they're really kind of left with nothing else. What else do you have?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Well, Rachel, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like you're passionate about like all sorts of things, not just one. And so that's something to be in awe of.
I am passionate about
and
it.
with Stanford too, like I cherish podcasts that cover classic film because I need attention paid to those, not just so Stanford, your insight into the classic stuff and the musicals and all that stuff, that's something that's to be cherished too, and you're very passionate about that and very well versed. And so that's, again, I'm in awe of both of you, all that. Johnny, just any quick thoughts you have on the state of romantic comedies or the state of like film criticism and what it's missing today? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I do think that there should be more. If there's a market for it, you should, play to that market. Why not? I enjoy them. I don't go crazy for them, but I do enjoy them. So, but as far as critics go, I mean, I think there's plenty of everyone's a critic. I mean, everyone out there is their own critic, and I think, you just got to find one that you agree with, and maybe just go with that.
Right. Sorry, I misspoke. It's anyone but you. That was the rom-com, not me before you.
Okay. That was that's raunchy though. That was a raunchy one though,
It was
right?
a raunchy one.
Yeah, it was definitely R-rated, right? But
it is definitely R-rated, but it's
popular
really
though, wasn't it?
One of the only ones in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, hopefully with this new Naked Gun out, they'll be opening another market for more comedies and anything other than superhero stuff. Come on. Let's start. Yeah, and I loved hearing that you.
I know, I was so happy, Rach, to hear that. Like, thank goodness. I was worried.
It's
Everybody
diversity.
See it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna rush out and see that. So again, this is what I'm like. The passion is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm in awe of. And like again, trying to get you guys on for NostalgiaCast and doing this '90s season. I was like, well, and we've talked about it for so long, getting you on. I was like, well, let's just do it. Let's finally get them on the '90s, our new '90s season. And so I thought, obviously, we're gonna have to talk a Disney movie, but then I was also they've talked every Disney movie multiple times. You guys just did, well, not just within the last couple of months. You did a top 29 songs from the Lion King franchise, right? You guys did a countdown of that. And so you've covered the Lion King before, and so that was my kind of drawback. I was like, well, I don't want to have you guys do something that you've covered like ad nauseum, but it seems like both of you were pretty passionate about the Lion King.
Can you talk too much about the Lion King? I think not.
Okay.
I think not.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I want to hear. So again, going on with I just want to go over our histories of the movie just really quick, just to find out where we sat with them first, and then where we end up at the end of the episode will be, how we sit on it today, which it might change, not drastically. I think we have kind of the same feelings about it. But the first time I saw Lion King, I remember when they released that the trailer in December of '93. They released just The Circle of Life. I think that they'd finally got it filmed, and then Katzenberger, whoever was in charge, was like, we've got to take advantage of this. And so they released just that opening 3-4 minutes to theaters. And I don't remember what movie it was in. It had to be a Disney movie, but I remember sitting for that going, whoa, I think
it miid have been Aladdin.
Maybe that early.
I could be wrong.
So maybe 92. Okay, maybe that early. Okay.
I could be wrong. But we might need to Google that one. But yeah.
Right. But
I remember that too though, Darren.
It felt like an event, right? You saw that trailer and you're like, ooh, this is gonna be something good. And then they started the marketing. I think with something like 200 like different merchandising products from anywhere from Burger King to Payless to Kodak. Anything. They had a huge marketing push. But when you sit down and you watch the movie, it's a very, I don't know. It was unique among the Disney canon because I think it was the first to feature all animals as the main characters since Bambi or something like that. Even Bambi had the hunters in it, but like they had that, and then also the adult themes in here. I remember sitting in the theater and there's murder, and there's scheming, and it's all sorts of wow, what is happening for a cartoon? And that's one of the topics I wanted to talk about, how it gets away with it. But I just remember being in awe of it. And then obviously the thing that's my kryptonite in movies is anything to do with fathers and sons. Like that's gonna kill me because of my relationship with my biological father and my stepfather, all of that. So when it comes to the scene where Simba's like been running from his responsibilities, and then it has the scene where his father Mufasa comes in the clouds and just says, "Remember who you are. Like I live in you. Like you are my legacy." Right. And I just remember that wrecked me in a theater, and I was like, I didn't expect that from a cartoon. So, and I walked out, obviously you walk out in the bright sun and you're like, oh, I got to tell everybody about this movie. So that's my history with The Lion King. Before we talk to Rachel and Stanford, Johnny, what is your history with The Lion King?
Well, I remember watching it with you. You say it was an event. We made it an event. We had all of our friends together. We
Yeah.
stood in line at the Sierra Theater in Orem, Utah, for like an hour or so to get in. And it
Beautiful
was a major
theater.
thing. It was a spectacle. It was an event. And I remember like just being, awestruck by the experience. And then when it was all over, I remember us walking out together and someone walking in asked you, Darin, like, how was it? And you were like, man, it was so great. It was so good. And you could not stop saying how great it was and how much you loved it. And I remember thinking, like, was it really that good? Like, I liked it, but was it that good? I don't know.
Yeah.
So over the years, I've appreciated it, and I do watch it with my kids, and we enjoy it, and we sing all the songs and all that stuff. But I just think back to how much you said you loved it, and it always kind of stuck with me. Like, why is Darren like this so much? Like, yeah, it's good, but is it that good?
Yeah. I don't know if it's the personal thing that maybe that just touched me that way, but that was something that was kind of revolutionary for a cartoon. Rachel, what about you? What's your history with The Lion King?
Yeah, so I was 13 when it came out. So I was just about that age where I was kind of like, oh, my over cartoons, kind of a thing.
Right.
And I remember seeing it and loving it and thinking it was incredible and going to see it multiple times. And yeah, it's always been a favorite. And even then I remember being like, oh, this Pocahontas is not as good.
Hmm.
I remember thinking that, and so that was an early memory of like, oh, this is contrast.
Yeah.
And because I was pretty excited for both, and yeah, I mean, no specific memories, but just I just remember loving it. Think it was a great movie. It was oh man, what a great time to be growing up and a teen movie fan. Uh, those 90s, I had so many great films.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
Very, very good decade for movies. What about you, Stanford? What's your history with this movie?
Well, so I stand corrected. The only thing that I could find here under short notice was on Wikipedia, the font of all truth, that the Lion King trailer was released in November of 1993. So I was off a year. My bad.
Mm.
And
I wonder if it was on Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, what
Could
it
be.
possibly, yeah. What
Interesting.
Wikipedia is saying is the Three Musketeers in 1993 and
Mm.
and Sister Act 2 Back in the Habit. Also which came out in 1993. I swear there were other films because I was there, but of course I was not remembering, so my bad. But I remember seeing that trailer and just being the Disney nut that I am, I was absolutely blown away. That it was so beautiful. And the movie did not disappoint. I saw it at the Villa Theater that Rachel had mentioned, where she saw Fantasia. The Villa Theater used to play in Salt Lake City. Used to play. It was just a great old movie house. The building still is standing today. It's on Highland Drive. It's actually very close to my house. Uh, if you're familiar at all with Salt Lake City, it's now Adib's rug something. I can't remember what it's called, but he sells Persian rugs, like giant Persian rugs. But he loves movies, and he slowly has preserved it. He hasn't ripped out the production booth or the projection booth or anything. But anyway, I don't even want to go in there because it's so depressing. It's no longer this fabulous movie palace. But just to see it on that big screen and that just I love the Elton John soundtrack. I love the animation. I love thematically everything the film was about. And also it was such a monster hit, which always made me happy too when Disney had a hit movie. So
Right. Okay. Well, interestingly enough, that's kind of a good segue. I asked each of you to come up with a topic, and then all four of us, like at the a head combined will be able to have a good kind of feel for what the Lion King is. But if we wanted to start with Rachel, I think that's a good place to start. You mentioned Pocahontas not being as good. What was it? As far as the history goes, do you remember the history of why Disney thought of this as their B tier movie and Pocahontas is that's their claim to Oscar glory?
Well, it would be very natural to do that because if you had your Alan Menken working on Pocahontas, you had your top tier animators working on Pocahontas.
Mhm.
And I mean, we look at it with sort of derision now as outdated but at the time, like it was actually seen as quite like I think it was Russell Means who said that he never seen such a collaboration with the tribal Native American people and a studio like Disney. At the time, it was seen as kind of groundbreaking in that way, and whereas with Lion King, it was made in Florida. It was made by the other animators. It had this, Elton John. It didn't have your Menken. It didn't have your Oscar winning teams behind it. It was understandable that this was kind of sort of seen as the B project. It was inspired by anime, there's just a lot of things in here that would kind of make them think that, but that also gave it kind of, I think, a sort of a bad news bears kind of mentality to it, and they were just going to sort of pluck along and make it great. Whereas it is definitely possible that Pocahontas was just also under sort of more scrutiny, but it's also, of course, a more flawed film. But it's like it's kind of this, when you have more limited resources, sometimes that's when the best filmmaking kind of comes out, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think because they had the choice. I think Glenn Keane went and worked on Pocahontas, and so obviously the team was like,
Yep.
"Oh, if Glenn Keane's doing it and Alan Menken is over, I think that's the project, right?" And so a lot of them,
Yeah.
and even though you had people like Andreas Deha working on this, and you had Ruben Aquino, I think, did a lot of the animal designs. I really think there's something to be said for people that are trying to prove themselves, people that are hungry to make a statement, and they're putting all their best work into something. Um, anyway, Stanford, any thoughts on Lion King being the B tier movie and how Pocahontas shook out?
And isn't it interesting? I'm so glad Rachel brought that up because, uh, yeah, it's like Pocahontas just seemed like it was like Disney's West Side Story, and it had such great potential. And while I think that artistically Pocahontas is spectacular, I love the animation, but I think we all know it's major flaws with its story, and retelling, and just the whole setting of it, right? But I it's a really good point to bring up. The B movie is the one that really became the kind of the monster hit, and really almost like truly, I think, the high point of the Disney Renaissance.
Yeah, controversially, I wanted to run this past you. The Disney Renaissance obviously very big for Disney. Like it was in its doldrums. Like it was obviously animation was where it was at with Disney, and then all of a sudden, Disney had struggles financially, almost bankrupted the studio. Still was churning out masterpieces and groundbreaking films. When he died, like obviously Disney struggled. We've all talked with Steven Anderson about that period during the '60s and '70s where they were really struggling to find their footing again. And I think everything kind of led to Little Mermaid and Rescuers Down Under to kind of build that back up, and that's where they really found their footing and their new creative juice that they really coasted on for the next decade. My thoughts on the Disney Renaissance is interesting. I think that The Lion King is where they peaked. I think that Little Mermaid, obviously, Rachel, we've all talked about how Little Mermaid is the favorite, and it's the one that got me interested in Disney movies. You had Beauty and the Beast, which is the first movie to be nominated for Best Picture and well deserved. You had Aladdin, that was like huge blockbuster. Look at Robin Williams like doing all his stuff, right? And then you had The Lion King, which was, I think, the fun thing about having it be a B tier project is nobody was paying attention to what they were doing. They were mostly off watching Pocahontas. So these guys were able to again put murder and literally like fascist Nazi imagery into one of their main musical numbers. It's a very brave movie.
Well, and it was a real break from the Broadway sort of mentality that they'd had for the Disney Renaissance that Ashman and Macon had brought in with The Little Mermaid. That Elton John, his sort of philosophy behind it was to make it, to bring in pop music and make it a more of a pop sound than the Broadway sound, and so even on that level, it was also one of the first of the Disney movies where you had sort of the bloated celebrity cast. I'm sure you had your Phil Harris, you had your, you'd have like a star in movies in the past, but you didn't have like Oscar winner Whoopi Goldberg in a small supporting role, before this. I mean, that they had James Earl Jones, like just this incredible stacked cast, and especially when you combine it with Toy Story, which would be the same, right around that same time, that the Toy Story would be the next year later, so that would be another sort of stacked celebrity cast, and so that's also it kind of changed voice acting as well. If you think about the Disney Renaissance, it's more. I mean, did people know who Jodie Benson was? Did people know, some of these other voice, Paige O'Hara, voice actors, and Robin Williams being also part of that as well, of course, in Aladdin. So it's just interesting on a lot of levels.
Right. And then go ahead, Stanford.
Darin, I thank you. I would concur with you, though. I really think The Lion King was probably like the apex of the Disney Renaissance. You look at the films after, Pocahontas, which I think the animation is spectacular, but story's not. Hunchback of Notre Dame, same thing. I think artistically it was beautiful and a very ambitious film. But sure, a tricky
Hercules,
one.
Mulan.
I mean, and Tarzan, which I think have many great things about it, but nothing really struck, I think, like the Lion King did.
Right. Yeah. I think the issue with Pocahontas is
Frozen, really, right?
Lion King, in animation, I don't think you'd have another hit that would be a game changer in animation until Shrek.
Yeah.
I don't think
6 years away.
Have.
Right.
Yeah.
There's all these evolutions, that kind of thing. I think the problem with not the problem with Pocahontas maybe is that Lion King is so hip and it's so brave and it's so dark and it's basically everything. And then you watch Pocahontas, and Pocahontas, even though I agree with you, Stanford, it's very beautiful to look at, I think it just plays safe the whole time. Like they really wanted that Oscar. And so it has that political correctness going for, and it kind of makes it stale in a way automatically, especially when you have the Timon and Pumbaa humor, and then you have Flit and it was Flit the raccoon?
No, Flit was the hummingbird. Miko was the raccoon. And
they're cute, but they are no Timon and Pumbaa. So people are watching it going, what, like we had the Lion King and now we have this. And then I think they tried with Hunchback. Johnny loves it when I talk about Hunchback in Notre Dame because I get so angry about it. I just think that it's one of the most chicken poop movies I've ever seen because it's got material that's so dark and so adult, but it keeps backing off of that material to do these really cheap gargoyle humor stuff again and again and again.
Bad.
That's the flaw with it. I think that
painful.
I appreciate that they took a swing, and I do appreciate it. I feel like more and more. When you see things that they've been doing lately, the last 10 years, something like Wish, that it's like, well, if they were gonna do a swing, I would way rather have something that's admittedly messy.
That's true.
In Hunchback, but it was, I don't know, it has more artistic integrity to me, but and the songs are actually, I think, quite beautiful. The non-gargoyle songs are quite beautiful. But it's definitely a flawed film.
Yeah,
it's not perfect.
It had so much potential.
It's interesting.
It is. The music is gorgeous. Obviously, Stephen Schwartz who wrote the lyrics for it. But then you have like Hercules, which is a fine movie, but it's a soft movie. It's very messy. It's Rocky meets Superman.
Yeah.
It's got the great Gerald Scarfe designs, which
design of it is so unique.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
which I
baffled that
love.
they were going
Yeah.
to try to remake it. You're going to miss out on that. So it's
Well,
just,
it's because it's got like Pink Floyd / Vegas / superhero / Greek mythology. It's like a lot of stuff happening.
And really broad comedy,
Yeah.
and it's just
Right.
it's crazy. It's such a crazy movie. It's so fun, but yeah, it's wow, this thing's crazy.
but,
Yeah.
like I don't know, like where they realized that they just made a misstep and they just couldn't climb. Like Mulan, like I know you two are fans of Mulan. As a half Asian person, I think there's a lot of things wrong with Mulan. As a movie, it's very slight. It's not big on stuff. Like one of the things with Lion King is I think the humor is very well done. Like when Timon and Pumbaa show up, they're 100% them, right? They don't know that they're supposed to be somber and keep up the somber mood. They're just them. And so it kind of lifts by default, the movie lifts up. And then when Rafiki comes back and he's all jokey, but then he brings it right back down to the he lives in you. I think the humor in the Lion King is very well done. Whereas Mulan, it has every character talks like the Eddie Murphy character. So it's not like in Aladdin, by the time that Robin Williams shows up, he's talking different and he's acting different than everybody. And so you kind of liven up. I just think with Mulan, the grandma sounds hip, the mom sounds hip, like everybody just sounds, I don't know. So Eddie Murphy didn't really
That's
have
fair,
that much.
but I would also say that I think that it is kind of interesting I almost think it's more interesting now than it was in the 90s because what it tries to say about gender dynamics
Right.
and
Yep.
roles and also like the fact that they just like kill off all of that whole village and they come and everything is Chang's everybody's gone. Like there's some dark moments to it that in retrospect I'm like, whoa, yeah, that was intense.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's fair about the humor.
The humor is a bit out of place.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's just slight. And then with Tarzan, I think Tarzan is very narratively and design wise, I think it's gorgeous, but it's also strange because you're moving even further away from the Broadway stuff, but none of the characters sing except for Glenn Close in one
Yeah, it's
part.
all background songs.
Yeah, and so it's not really them singing. It's their thought process. So you never actually see Tarzan sing a song. You never see Jane sing. So it's a little bit odd. So I'm just wondering the Disney Renaissance. That's why I'm saying that it peaked with Lion King. I think Lion King is so strong as a solid, and then it just seems like they struggled. Jonny, your thoughts on the Disney Renaissance, and do you think? And then I'll ask Rachel and Stanford about this too. Do you think it's because they realized they just had a misstep with Pocahontas and they just couldn't recover? What do you think of the Disney Renaissance and that as a whole?
Yeah, maybe. I think maybe Lion King took them by surprise. I think Disney may have tried to treat Lion King like a B tier movie and tried to maybe put all their eggs into Pocahontas, but I never considered Lion King B tier. Like you had James Earl Jones, you had Whoopi Goldberg, you had Cheech Marin. I like Cheech Marin. You've got Nathan Lane, Matthew Broderick. And you got Elton John in the songs, and you got Hans Zimmer doing the music. Like, and here's the thing: Pocahontas. I can't think of any songs other than "Colors of the Wind." Like, I can't remember anything else from it. Like, but all the songs in Lion King are memorable, and I can sing them. And I know the words to them, and it stands out. And I think, man, I wish. I mean, they probably should have switched maybe make Lion King the A tier and put Pocahontas in the background.
Yeah, I certainly don't consider it B tier. I'm just saying at the time when it was in production, that's what Disney thought.
Everybody thought. Yeah. And so
I think a lot of it is because of that it was the Florida studio. That's a big reason. But yeah, I mean, and I guess, and also in fairness, things like the Lion King just don't happen every day. Like it's really hard to make something like the Lion King.
Right.
Just doesn't come along.
And you look at the backgrounds and just the mythic quality of it and the way, I don't know, there's just something different about the Lion King and the way it treats everything. But Jonny, what I want to ask you too about the Disney Renaissance is where do you think Lion King sits in the Disney Renaissance? I know that we're big Aladdin fans, but
yeah, I mean, I think Little Mermaid probably for me is one of their best. I do like Aladdin, and Lion King's up there, but I wouldn't say it's the best. Like you, I know you like it, but I didn't like it as much as you did. But I still enjoy it. But I wouldn't put it at the top. But that's just me.
Yeah, it's different strokes, that kind of thing. But Stanford too. I mean, what do you think? Do you think it's because they kind of had a miss and they had a lack of, because we've seen Disney do that before. They kind of had a knock to their conscience, to their confidence, right? And so I don't know if that had to do, and they just spent the rest of the decade trying to catch up.
You know, I think that you bring up such a good point. To me, it seems like things got extra complicated. I mean, Disney in a lot of ways was alone, right? They didn't have a lot of competition.
Right.
And they killed it with The Lion King, and then that's when, things really started to fall apart. I blame Jeffrey Katzenberg. I can't stand him.
Right.
Rachel, I've whined to Rachel
We can blame
times
him for a lot of things. Yeah.
Well,
he did save Goofy movie though.
Well, good point. No, that's seriously, which is a shocking revelation. I was so surprised about that.
Even a broken clock can be right twice a day.
No, but think about it though. Pixar, Disney had that creative partnership with Pixar that started the following year. I mean, it had been going, but Toy Story got released in '95, right the year after. So computer animation was coming up. Katzenberg gutted the animation studio and formed DreamWorks Animation because of his battle with Michael Eisner, and lots of stuff was going on. And then I also think though, from my opinion, again, and maybe I'm being Pollyanna-ish, hello Disney, right? But that I think Disney was ambitious and was trying to do different things. Hence Hunchback of Notre Dame. Hence Hercules with Gerald Scarfe, as kind of art director or whatever, or at least a consultant on it, using his designs, stuff like that. So maybe some of it was intentional, maybe some of it was experimental. Also, the marketplace was going crazy, with all sorts of different things. Also Disney management, I think, is clearly,
well, and there was the big mess with Disneyland Paris during this time too. So things were just
there was Frank. Yeah, I mean, because when Frank Wells died too, and then that's what spurred the whole Jeffrey Katzenberg stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess we could look at the in hindsight as missteps, but I think some of it was just steps in a constantly moving marketplace.
Yeah.
And industry. That's how I see it.
This is a total tangent, but what I think is very, very weird is that with how big of a hit The Lion King is, I think it's so weird that they've never, even in Animal Kingdom, they've never had a Lion King ride.
I know. Finally, they're building one in Disneyland Paris.
Oh, they are, because they have
30 years after the fact.
Festival of the Lion King, right, in Animal Kingdom show. Yeah. There's a show.
It's a ride. It's a flume. It's a log flume ride that they're building.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I wonder if it's just because they already had Jungle Cruise, so they're like, we've already got.
Well, they don't have a Jungle Cruise in Paris. I mean, hello Disney nerd, but still, I'm with you, Rachel. I can't believe they don't have a Lion King ride. So
especially in Animal Kingdom, like you would think that would be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
They're writing that wrong, but you have to go to Paris for now.
Well, again,
I don't know when it opens, but it's under construction.
Interesting.
It's under construction.
Well, to put a nail in the coffin of where Pocahontas was at, like you look at the box office, and Pocahontas, I think worldwide, $348 million, and Lion King made like 965 million, so about 3 times as much. So just way to go, B team, right? But anyway, just to go over to my topic, and us talking about Hunchback of Notre Dame, I think Hunchback, again, they kept having to pull back because it was too adult. I think with the Lion King, these are really rich, dark, deep themes. Like I said, there's literally a part where a villain's number becomes a Leni Riefenstahl reenactment of Triumph of the Will with like goose-stepping stormtroopers. Like that's unheard of,
I know,
right?
And it blows my mind every time I see it.
It speaks to Scar. It speaks to him. Like, again, the thing that I love about The Lion King is it can do all these things. I was watching it again today going, well, animals kill each other all the time, right? That's the nature. That's nature, right? So it's not really that dark, but it's like because they're anthropomorphic animals, you can get away with so much and it won't feel like, I don't remember, the saddest part again. I was shocked in the audience when Mufasa dies, and it's literally a scene which you wouldn't have in movies today. It's a long 5-minute scene where Simba's reacting to his death, and it's heartbreaking, and it's so powerful, and it's like so adult, but I don't remember there being any outrage over that in the movie. I think because the movie is able to, and again, going back to the Hans Zimmer score, that was huge. I know for the lore is that Elton John and Tim Rice didn't know how to start the movie, and then Hans Zimmer came in with Libo Emo and was like, let's just start this with an African choral chant, right, and let's transport them to another place. So even that, and that's what set the tone for the rest of the movie. So I love that. So, but again,
Yeah.
it feels so different, and it feels, because you can do all these things with animal characters, you couldn't do that with Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't feel like The Lion King pulls back at all. It really digs into those themes. But as far as that goes, Rachel, what are your thoughts on animals being able to get away with this stuff?
Oh, well, just the expression and the faces, and of course that was completely a failure in 2019. And
We'll come back to that.
yes. But I think that what they were able to do is they were able to tell a story that's emotionally true. Because if you think about the great films that are family films or children's films, they often can be quite emotional. I mean, let's talk Old Yeller here. I mean, sobbing, Pollyanna when she, oh my gosh, sobbing. Even in The Wizard of Oz, when she's looking at that thing, it sees Aunt M, and she's so, I'm sorry, and it makes you feel things. And I think that we sometimes don't give children enough credit for being able to be thoughtful and emotional. And sure, I'm a big fan of them having comedies that they can just enjoy as a comedy. But also these more emotional stories are really important and part of growing up and learning how to absorb things and be like, okay, what just happened? Let's talk about this.
Yeah. Again, I really think that the animals, it's a nice bridge to adults being able to enjoy the themes and not having to worry about their kids being too traumatized because they're just looking at cute little lions running around.
Yeah,
I think it's a nice
there's some truth in that.
Stanford, what do you think about that as are they able to get away with stuff because of that?
Yeah, that's such a good point. It's such an interesting way to think about it too, Darin. I don't, uh, I've wondered a lot about that too, because, I remember seeing it, and Mufasa's death is shocking. The way that they animate it, I mean, it's beautiful, but they don't shy away from it, And there, as you said, it was like that 5-minute scene. Simba is there crying by the body of his deceased father, who of course was murdered.
Yeah.
We find out. We don't find out till, and then also, his creepy uncle then, kind of banishes him off and then tries to kill him too. Uh, I just think it that's just one of the things that was so masterful about it, and maybe daring with the filmmakers, right? That they were taking a risk, as we just talked about. Maybe nobody was watching enough, or they were willing to let them be, to be bold,
Right.
To be bold with it. But that's what I think was what makes it great. As you already mentioned, Aaron, I can't believe they have that Nazi scene in there, which is so chilling but so perfect. I mean, because that's Scar, that's what he's doing, and the artistry of that is again just one of the many.
When if you think about the
hallmarks
history of Disney animation, there's a history of those emotional scenes, but also villain scenes. I mean, think about the Coachman. Think about
Yeah,
think about Pleasure Island
and
and
Pinocchio. Yeah,
the kids are going to turn into donkeys.
Yeah.
yeah.
Able to get away with a lot. And I think it's funny too, the Nazi goose stepping. I was reading some reviews today. They're like, "Oh, is Lion King pro-Nazi?" I'm like, "No, like he's
pro-Nazi. That's his villain.
He's the bad guy. Like, why are you? You're not rooting for him." Anyway, Stanford, I interrupted you. What were you?
No, you're good. I think that I think I was able to,
I miss
express
villains.
about it.
I
Real
miss villains. I do. I
No,
miss
so
them.
yes, no, surprise villains and all the stuff that gets used now. Yeah.
Mhm.
Generational trauma. I'm over it.
I mean,
Yeah.
Scar is a villain from scene one,
Right.
Yep.
and that's what's I think so great about it too. But Darren, again, I really appreciate your point because is it because it's animals that they're able to, to quote unquote get away with it?
Hmm.
Good question. Maybe, but also I just think it was good storytelling.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't think so. Can you think about I mean, Gaston, he's pretty bad.
Oh, he's horrible.
I
Yeah.
mean, again, and then look at Pinocchio. Terrible
Yeah. All those
villains.
guys. Right. Right.
And I mean, you think about as far as emotional scenes, you think about Baby Mine
Mhm.
sobbing,
Well,
Bambi's
Dumbo.
mother's death. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
class, yeah, I was
Bambi.
to say, Darren, like the classic one that scarred us all. Bambi's, the death of Bambi's
Yeah.
mother. Yeah.
Right.
So I just think making a great movie, a masterpiece, is really hard. So it just doesn't happen
Yeah.
all the time.
On
But when
purpose
it
even.
does, we treasure it.
Right. Well, Johnny, Nazi propaganda. Parents getting killed in front of their children. What do you think about it? Do you think because it's animals they were able to get away with this stuff?
Yeah, I do. I think that's the reason why they can get away with it. I think you're removed from it when it's a cuddly lion or something. When it's human beings killing each other and doing this thing to each other, it's more visceral and it's more like shocking and it's like, oh gosh. But when it's a animated, cute and cuddly lion doing it, it's different and you're removed from it, and so you can accept it. And I remember like when we watched it, we walked out and we thought that was pretty dark, wasn't it? Like, wow, that was darker than I thought it was going to be, like, or I expected. But I think that's why they can't get away with it because it's an animal, not a human.
And it got a G rating, right? This came out with a G rating. There's murder in here. Nazis
I
are
know.
in
So
here.
did Hunchback. Hunchback had a
Holy
G
mackerel.
rating, which
There's
is
there's a
bonkers.
scene in Hunchback where the Frollo is talking about like his lust for a woman, and it's a G rating.
It
What
was
are they
a
doing?
wild time.
But
It was a
I think
wild
it's the
time.
Crazy time.
the
Crazy
gargoyles kept
times.
popping back up, and they're okay. Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
like,
We can still
okay,
do
we'll
this.
keep it G. Oh.
All right. So Stanford, your topic. You wanted to tackle like the themes.
There are two themes that I wanted to talk with you about. And again, I think part of it's just the English major in me, but clearly we all know that, I mean, everybody knows that it's The Lion King is really heavily inspired by William Shakespeare's Hamlet, right?
Mhm.
And just two big things. Both stories feature a young prince whose father gets murdered by his uncle, right? And then uh and then who also, tries to marry the mother. Uh I guess
Yeah.
there's that part. But then also though that both Hamlet and Simba are guided by the ghost, or the memory of their deceased father. So there's
Mhm.
that, and there's all sorts of other things that could be compared. But I think those are the big ones as far as the comparisons to Hamlet. I mean, I was reading some stuff about like the side characters and whatnot, and maybe that's true, but also. I didn't think. I mean, I'm not necessarily buying it. I mean, if that's what Disney was going for, great. But I just, to me, is like it's very obvious about the things about Hamlet. So maybe we could talk about that, and I can come back to my. So there's a second piece I want to talk about that's not necessarily about Hamlet, but it's something that's important to me. But what's your take on? Uh, I mean, I don't think I'm necessarily up in the night about the comparisons between Hamlet and The Lion King, right? I think that's pretty well. Everybody kind of agrees about that, or do they?
It's not a straight adaptation, but the similarities are definitely there, right? I mean, Rachel, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not a Shakespearean expert, so I can't speak in detail on that. But yeah, I think what always got me more was the theme of forgiveness. That when somebody leaves us, we do in a way kind of have to forgive them for leaving if it wasn't their fault. Like they still left, and that wound is still there. And I think that especially Simba is taught another way he could live. And I think that's a really good idea for kids. That just the way that you are taught by your parents does not necessarily the way that you have to live. And here Simba is taught a whole nother way that he could live his life. And
Yeah.
And then he's presented with the real facts, and he has to kind of come to terms with, is Hakuna Matata how he actually wants to live his life. And I think that there's something there as well that's I think that's an important theme of the story as well, that like there's different ways that you can live your life, and what are you going to do about it?
Right. I think Stanford, going back to and then Johnny's really good big on Shakespeare, so I want to ask him that too. But the other thing that I would add to it too is Hamlet is notoriously, it ends like there's all this drama, there's all this serious drama, and it ends with a sword fight, right? It ends with an action scene. Like you have all this stuff that's built up and you resolve it with an action scene. It really seems like Shakespeare's like, well, I need to get butts in seats, right? So he's going to end it that way. And Lion King ends the same way. I remember when they're having their paw fight in slow motion, I laughed out loud. So I was like, this is silly. Like all this drama has been built up to this moment, like Scar getting it in the face with a paw in
The
slow
paw fight.
motion. So I thought that was fun. If you're looking at more Hamlet, there's obviously Timon and Pumbaa are the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Right.
You had a Lion King 1.5, which literally the Tom Stoppard play, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, where you see the play through
That's
their
true.
eyes. But
Yeah.
Johnny, what do you think about the Hamlet connection?
Well, I agree. I think it's definitely heavily influenced by Hamlet. However, Nala doesn't go crazy and kill herself. And then
Yes,
also,
I was gonna
not
say there's
everyone
no
dies in the
Ophelia
end.
thing going on, right? Yeah.
So if everyone died at the end, maybe I could agree it was more like Hamlet. But you got the father thing, the ghost, all that stuff. In fact, we even joked we were watching it. We were like, "Hey, there's the ghost of Simba's father." So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely see it. It's definitely there if you're looking for it.
Right. But Rachel, even your themes of forgiveness and, coming back from all that and living your life. I love what you guys had to say about Hakuna Matata in your countdown episode, because obviously I'm not the hugest Matata fan. It's not for me. Right. But like you said, the kids loved it. Like the kids
Oh yeah.
went crazy for that song. And number one, I think it's Elton John and Tim Rice kind of attuned to the like Rachel, you talked about like the pop song, the pop mentality to it. And I think they're latching onto something where something primal in kids, they just caught onto that melody and caught on that idea. But it also, in the end, I think that the music in Lion King is more story based than it is like you walk out humming them. But even at the end, it does teach kids like, do you live your life? Like, what should I care? Right? Like Hakuna Matata, is that your whole ideal, your ideology? Like, no. I mean, you have to grow past that. I think the movie does teach you that. Stanford, you had another theme you wanted to tackle.
Ah, it's really the antithesis of Hakuna Matata, right? Which is the whole one of my favorite scenes, if not my favorite scene in the film, is when, and Rachel alluded to this a little bit, but where Simba uh is Rafiki's come back, right? And who knows, found out that Simba's alive, and Simba is like raging, like, Dad, you left me. How could you do this to me? And then Mufasa reappears, right? And I might be getting things in a little out of order, but that it's the whole kind of that section of the movie, right? Um, but
I think
when
Mufasa's in a point. No, not Mufasa. Simba's at a point in his life where he's ready to accept. The writing is very good. Where Rafiki comes in, he's ready to accept what Rafiki has to say, but still Rafiki has to warm him into it.
Yeah, when Simba, then when Mufasa appears in the clouds and is talking about it, I think that part moves me a lot. My dad died when I was in my early 20s. He had a massive heart attack and was gone. So no nefarious uncle he was involved. So,
Lucky.
yeah, thank goodness, right? So none of those issues. But I had always wondered about, wouldn't it be amazing? This is just, watching this film, just thinking, wow, having this conversation with your dad. But the conversation is meaningful, and I just like to go over some of the words. I won't reenact the whole thing, but I promise. But Mufasa saying, "Simba, you've forgotten me," and Simba saying, "No, how could I?" And Mufasa says, "You have forgotten who you are, and so have forgotten me."
Hmm.
Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become. You must take your place in the circle of life.
Hmm.
And I again, not that my dad was saying that to me, but every time I watch it, no matter what age I am, it just makes me think about. And then, of course, the big classic line: "Remember who you are.
Mhm.
You are my son and the one true king. Remember who you are. Remember, remember, remember." And uh, you know, I'm no royal. There's no royalty or anything involved, but I just think it's such a meaningful thing for anybody who's watching this film and who's thinking, who wants to think about it, uh, to remember who we are, that and to be the best we can be. I mean, in Simba's case, he's the son and he's the true king.
Mhm.
And the kingdom's, gone to pot, and he really needs to go help him, and to be, to be who he is, or to who he's born to be. But I I think the animation is so stunning in it. James Earl Jones, I mean, as we've talked about, I mean, come on, right?
Mhm.
But the messages are important and they're timeless, and they're not necessarily Shakespearean in this particular scene. But I think that they're meaningful to all humans who choose to listen.
They're very, very powerful, powerful words. Rachel, what do you think of that?
I mean, I agree that the value, the worth of each individual person and how much Simba is loved by his loved ones beyond the grave ends, and that are missing him and that love him, and even Timon and Pumbaa, how much they love him, uh, and I mean that's a beautiful concept. There's so many beautiful concepts in the film, and I think, like I said, a big one for me is just that whole theme of forgiveness.
Mhm.
Promise you'd always be there, but you're not. Can I forgive you for that?
Mhm.
It's beautiful.
And you learn this as teenagers, like you say. You learn this as kids, and so they're formative ideas in a cartoon that you wouldn't. You watch
Yeah.
cartoons all the time, but you don't expect them to hit you like this.
Yeah.
Johnny, what do you think about that scene in particular? Any of the themes or stuff like that?
Yeah, I like that scene. I think it's heartwarming. I liked that James Earl Jones is famous for saying, "I am your father, you are my son,"
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Love it.
But you talk about the personal connection. I mentioned it, and it's like I wasn't expecting it when he says that. Like like you are my son, right? Like remember, like be who you are. And it's like as somebody again who lost his biological father at a very early age, and then who didn't realize how much his stepfather actually meant to him until later. I mean, I watched it again today, and it just broke me. Like, and I think that's the
Yeah.
difference, John. I don't know if like that's why I loved it so much. I just had that personal connection to it. I didn't have a personal connection to Little Mermaid, even though I love it. I didn't have personal connection to Beauty and the Beast, even though that's one of my. I like that one more than The Lion King. If I really had to rank them, and
Yeah,
did.
I do too. I do too. I like Beauty and the Beast is my favorite. Yeah,
Right, but
by far. Yeah.
The Lion King just hit me in a certain way where I was like, I can't believe that I actually saw that in a cartoon, and so that's really what I was looking at. But yeah, all great stuff. Does anybody? We're gonna seek into a weird, a different topic here. That's maybe I don't hope it doesn't bring us down, but it might. But does anybody have anything to? And I know we'll put a positive spin on, but does anybody else have anything they want to say about the themes of the movie? And before we move on to a different kind of legacy.
I think we're
yeah,
good.
just if you're looking, there's the political symbolism too, because when Scar takes over, he kind of runs Pride Rock into the ground and everything. It's kind of like basically socialism, communism kind of taking over. And then when they bring Simba back, he brings capitalism back, and so it starts to grow and thrive again.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see that if you're looking for it.
A literal storm comes and washes all the death away, right? You see the
Yeah.
literal skull like wash away.
It washed all the commies away, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Johnny, again, this is we kind of hinted at it at the beginning, and it's all something that's kind of sticks in our sides as far as Disney goes. But you wanted to talk about the why this didn't need a remake, and so we'll sneak into kind of the remake of the Lion King, the live action, quote unquote, and then kind of that like the legacy that way. But Johnny,
In
what did
that
you want to say about that?
in that country where the talking animals are, where they filmed it. It was so cool.
Yeah,
Live action.
right.
Well, it just seems like Disney kind of went through a period where they're like, they ran out of ideas. And so they started going back to the archives. What can we do? We got all these hits. We can just remake them as live action movies, and people will come see them because they're live action movies, they're movies they love, And I don't think any of us really asked for that, or we wanted it even, but they did it anyway. And at first it was kind of like, well, that might be interesting or kind of exciting to see, Beauty and the Beast, acted out by real actors. That'd be kind of fun to watch that.
It wasn't.
Excitement about it. But then we saw it. We went, what did they do? Why did they do that? They pretty much took everything that we thought was great about the animation and they just ruined it. And so you're like, just tell the same story the same way you told it the first time. And maybe you get a bit of different reaction. But because they just decided to, not just inject their politics, but they just kind of ruined the jokes. Even the jokes that were like, you're going to land no matter what. They just would take those jokes out and now they didn't land. And so now it's like, what was the point of that? Like, why did you force this on me? You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it.
Well,
oh boy. Yeah. I mean, it's the thing is that, like, in a way, I can't really blame them because this thing made.
I can.
I mean, I blame them, but it's not show friends, it's show business, and this thing made over $1 billion.
Over $1 billion.
I can understand.
Piece of crap.
I can understand why they made it. They probably like making $1 billion. I can understand that, but it's just really sad that they haven't taken these live action remakes as an excuse to do something creative or interesting or different, or and then people would probably be really upset if they did that because they want the same. The whole thing just baffles me. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It makes no sense. But I mean, as a business decision, it was a good decision. It made them a ton of money, but that doesn't mean that it's not trash. Lots of trash makes a lot of money. So,
Well, Johnny, it's like you said, they wanted to try it. And then because, well, I don't know if Maleficent was that big of a hit or Cinderella, but like you look at The Lion King making $1 billion and it's like, well, I guess we'll just do that because people like it, right? And they'll and I'm not one of those people. Like I can't watch those anymore because Beauty and the Beast was one of the most excruciating movie experiences of my life. Lion King, I couldn't get through more than. It's interesting as a tech demo, but I didn't watch past Circle of Life, so I'm not going to do this. I can't sit through this.
$1.6 billion. That's how much this thing made. 1.6.
Yeah, we finished watching the animation movie, and then we tried to watch the live action, and I was like, I can't watch this. Like I got, like you say, 5 minutes in, I was like, I can't do it. I can't keep watching this. It was so hard to watch.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, they spend a lengthy amount of time on a pebble, following a pebble. That's about as creative as we get, and I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't understand why people like them. I don't understand why people go to them. They have absolutely no staying power. What's interesting about these live action remakes is that they always sell them as, oh, this is for the new generation. This is a new generation of fans. This is a new version, right? But then they instantly forget about them. I'm talking about Disney instantly forgets about them. Like, it's not like when you go to the parks, you're seeing Belle from the movie, live action movie. It's not like when you go to the parks, you're seeing live action Aladdin. No, instantly you're seeing they are back to the animated one. It's just like this weird. It's almost, I mean, Martin Scorsese's always talking about movies or amusement parks rides, but I do think there's nowhere that is more true than in the Disney live action remakes. They are literally like a amusement park ride that people go on to experience once, and enough people do that but they have no like lasting legacy.
Right. Stanford, do you think this is kind of where my mindset is now? I agree. For me, they don't have any staying power. For me, it's more like the majority of people are going to watch these movies. They'll make $1 billion, but then they're going to go right back to watching the animated stuff. These aren't thought of again. What I think these movies are aimed for are these people that don't think of animation as an art or something worthwhile, or they look at it. And I say this because the only remake that I've enjoyed, I don't know if I would say enjoy even, is The Jungle Book, because I'm not the biggest Jungle Book fan as the cartoon. Like, I didn't have any connection to that. So I didn't care what changes they made to the live action movie. And I don't know if, because I do have friends that are like, oh, I prefer this to the cartoon. And first of all, I'm like, my reaction is to like, well, unfriend them, right? Or to basically block them. But then it's also, but I think they're coming from a point of view where they don't appreciate the art and they don't appreciate what went into these things. So they'll look at the new one and go, this matters more to me because I don't know, I like the live action stuff. I don't know, Stanford, do you think that has something to do with why they keep making these things, or why
You
some
bring up
people
a really good point. I mean, I think clearly it's just because they're doing it for the money, and I also feel like they're creatively bereft. But you know, I know it's not Disney, but I mean, DreamWorks is now in the game with How to Train Your Dragon, and I saw the remake. I just have to clarify. I I go to a movie once a month with my niece and her two kids. Okay.
Okay.
And we just have kind of a standing like movie date. It's super fun, but they pick the movie. Okay. So and I'm happy. I go because I want to spend time with them, but they picked that movie, and I'm like, crap, because I didn't want to see it. Because if I want to see How to Train Your Dragon, I'm gonna see How to Train Your Dragon,
Yeah.
And honestly, that movie, same with The Lion King, basically shot for shot. I mean,
Yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon, the live action, was
It's
directed by the same guy who
yeah. It's
directed.
literally the same movie.
It's the same
There's like
movie.
a few more action scenes in the school setting, whatever
Yeah,
whatever they
right,
call that.
right.
But yeah, not almost nothing.
And I just kept thinking again, what's more thrilling? Watching, Hiccup on top of, I mean, they're both, an actor on a some kind of a set, some kind of a green screen, with wind blowing a wind machine, or an animated version of him on flying on the dragon.
Mhm.
I just thought, yeah, is it just the aesthetics? People think cartoons are for kids
Well, I mean,
only.
you had said that these movies are made for adults, particularly millennials who have been trained to devalue animation. The reason why they have been trained is because Disney trained them to feel that way. I mean, literally, you have the CEO of Disney saying at one point, I always say that when our fans and our audiences put their kids to bed at night after watching Pinocchio or Dumbo or The Little Mermaid, they're probably not going to tune into another animated movie. They want something for them.
you know, R.I.P. Bob Chapek or Bob
But
Chapek's reign of horror.
that is not just Bob
Reign of Terror.
Chapek. This is that
That
is
sounds like
the
something Katzenberg would
this
say.
is the philosophy of the Walt Disney Studios for the last 25 years. That's it.
I just find the practice so horrible. I think because I have such love and reverence and respect for Disney feature animation and for the majority of their films that they make, for them to treat them like such
It's so
disposable
frustrating.
things. And they're the movies that made that studio,
Yeah.
you know?
And now
Um,
we're getting Moana. You're just like, are you kidding?
Barely out.
well, and guess what? I mean, we already knew this. That Lilo and Stitch remake made $1 billion.
Yep. Only
So
movie this whole year.
yeah,
Oh boy.
that's made $1 billion. So
Oh.
guess what? That's all we're gonna get. So
We almost won with Snow White.
I
We
know.
They almost
when,
shut it down.
when Snow White bombed, it was just like the
Yes, there's hope.
victory, and then weeks later, Lilo and Stitch comes and just like, kills it. Like, oh,
Well,
Yeah.
in a way, I think this live action line, again, quote unquote live act, because it's all animated, right? Anyway, I think it stands as a good metaphor for these movies because, again, you have these. Rachel, you talked about the expressions on the characters' faces in this. There are no
Soulless.
expressions because they wanted to go realistic. I know originally they wanted this Lion King to be have a National Geographic feel, which is fine. But again, it's you go to animation to see expressions, to see things given to you on screen. I watched the video on Lion King today, I think by Loverboy Media, where he talks about you look at the animated Lion King versus the real one. Animation gives you a representation of a feeling. It gives you a feeling to interpret. A live action just gives you it. They don't give you any room for nuance. It's just there. And you're looking at How to Train Your Dragon. What kills me about that is in animation, say when Hiccup is riding Toothless, right? There's actual dynamism to the shots. They had to worry about how to make the camera dip and dive and how it changes perspective and the feeling of the rush of the wind on Hiccup's face. They had to worry about that stuff. But when they make the live action one, all they're doing is they're copying what was already they're already copying the ingenuity. They're riding the coattails of all the creativity that went into those shots. And it's so dull and it's so lifeless to me. And again, with Lion King, it's just a series of, are you sure we should be doing this? When they did Be Prepared, they couldn't make the hyenas goofy because hyenas don't act like that in real life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why are you doing this then?
Or change the lighting to like that green color, and then all the I mean everything about it. Yeah, Be Prepared is the perfect example of
They weren't even going to have it in the live action. They were going to eliminate it completely.
And then they
had it just kind of sing talking.
Yeah.
They didn't even have it really.
Well,
Right.
and then
Like
just
bonkers.
just as I was whining about with How to Train Your Dragon, they use practically the same script for this Lion King remake. I mean, in many ways, it's truly a shot for shot.
Mhm.
And again, plus shot for shot and with Beyonce. I mean,
Yeah. And that Beyonce song, they're just like walking.
Yeah, they pull a Tarzan with it. It's not her singing.
Well, even if it's not her singing, they're just walking.
Yeah.
You'd think like the song, we're gonna have it's gonna be like a dramatic moment. Like I thought when I thought it was they're just walking.
it's so sick and wrong. The whole thing. It just absolutely disgusts me. I shame on Disney. Shame on Disney.
Exactly. It's a carbon copy. I really think you two with How to Train Your Dragon, it's really if you're going to do it exactly the same, you're marketing to people that don't like animation and think that live action is the only way to go. It's the only respectable medium if you're just going to do an exact copy. And it's so cynical and it's so lifeless and it's just we all have, like you all did your canon stuff. I know that one of my applications to rank Disney stuff on your Talking Disney podcast was to say, oh, by the way, I actually wrote a 50 article piece on like Disney's 50 first. And so I appreciate the artistry that went into these movies, right? And so to see them just kind of piggyback off of that is just really offensive to me. Like we have animator friends.
Can you imagine being like, they'll put their kids to bed after watching Pinocchio? What? One of their most artistically ambitious, beautiful. Oh, that's just like Paw Patrol. It's like nothing,
Well, yeah. And then again, sorry, hate to even bring it up again, but that they even considered remaking Snow White. That was even in their, purview. Just disgusts me. Yeah. And then that film was so horrible. I've already whined to Rachel enough about that. I won't.
Yeah, all the live action remakes were, in my opinion, dismal this year. It was rough, in my opinion.
Well, Jonny, we're going to see something fun here, but what are your thoughts on I asked you if you'd seen the Lion King remake and you said yes against my will. Thought that was funny. But what are your thoughts on the actual movie as a movie?
You mean the animation or the
live action one? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I saw it in the theater with my kids. My wife didn't go with us. I was up and out to the bathroom with our youngest several times, so I didn't really see it all the way through.
Lucky.
But what
I did you a favor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't like. And I tried watching it again tonight because I watched the animation. And I tried to go right into the live action one. And like I said, I got 5 minutes in. I was like, I can't do it. I can't even sit through this. So I don't like it. But I'm glad you all agree.
Just purposes. Okay, so here's what I wanted to end on. Like I said, I love bringing guests on so we can kind of get a feel for what they do and why I love them and why it's a joy to have them as guests. So again, you two did, like I mentioned, the top 29 Lion King songs. You ranked all of them, and again, Circle of Life #1. Like we can't agree harder on that. But I asked you, I gave you some homework. I was like, if you two could come up with your top 3 worst creative decisions about the Lion King live action remake, I asked you for that homework, and I just wanted to get that Talking Disney Classics feel and the countdown stuff. What are you, and you can do whatever you want. You can each give your 3, or you can just jump back and forth like you do. But what are your top 3 most misguided decisions about that Lion King live action remake?
Well, I mean, I do think that bizarre long section where they're following the dirt, the clump of dirt through the air and through, like, what? So that would be number 1, the dirt. Number 2, the way they did the well, the way they do Mufasa's death is just embarrassing, and I hate it. And then I probably just that they don't even use Beyonce's song in an inch. They're just walking. Those are probably my 3. They don't even use a new song, which could be something unique. They're just walking.
Right.
Those are probably the 3.
And again, you were funny because when I asked you, you're like, only 3? I can only do 3.
I know. I love that. This is the best.
I just remember when we watched it together, Stanford and I, and when the rep asked us what we thought, and I was just like, no.
Oh boy.
Oh,
it was painful.
So bad.
Yeah.
All right, Stanford, you're 3.
So we've already touched on all 3 of mine, but so I'll be brief. But first one is really just how colorless the film is. So again, trying to go for that National Geographic style pulls out all the joy, all the emotion, all the beauty that was in the animated, that was in the 2D animated film. Case in point, the 2 musical numbers. In the animated film, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, which isn't necessarily, my favorite song by any means, but because Simba's such a brat, right, at that point in the film. But isn't it fun to look at? The colors. The colors.
Yeah.
And then just as we've hit on multiple times, the Be Prepared scene. That was such a bore in the the remake, whereas in the original, it's so stunning. And again, it's the amazing use of color and how all the guys are just going off and the Nazis, and it's just amazing. It's so cool. It's just breathtaking to me. And this, it's all the National Geographic one is just all brown. It's a tan. It's just a bore, just an absolute bore, hideous. Soulless characters, again, going for that photorealistic style. The faces have no emotion. You think about the 2D animated one, like we're talking about when Simba, well, everything about cute little Simba, but when Mufasa dies, when he sees his dad again, in the clouds, just again the emotion and the lighting and all the stuff that can happen in animation. Just there's nothing, you look into the National Geographic magazine and it couldn't be more boring. And then again, sorry, last one. And I wanted to be brief, and I'm just boring everybody to death. But shot for shot, like what the heck? Why do we need it? Why do we need it? If that's what they're going to do, they're not bringing anything interesting to it, and just horrible. Shame on Disney. Have I mentioned?
Not enough.
Yeah.
Well, again, just to kind of give my final summation on Lion King, I watched it, like I said today, and maybe it's because I've been disillusioned with all the live action remakes and things like that. But again, I just can't wait to be king is probably my least favorite song in the whole
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, absolutely.
But I
Yeah.
was writing my notes, and every time I looked up, I was like, "Look at the colors! Like the reds have never been more red. And even if I don't like the song, and I put down my notes, my notepad, and I was like, "Look at the colors on this. The colors are popping, and they're so bright and vivid." And I was like, "This is what. Why would you want to remake this and then completely drain the color and the life out of it?" So again, I think Lion King is watching it again today. Like I said, is still very powerful. Those scenes still have a lot of mythic qualities to him, and I think it really stands up. Johnny, what are any final thoughts you have on the Lion King?
Well, I'm just glad we did this so I could finally find out why you liked it so much. I had to wait 30 years to find out.
I love that you got to see it together. That is the coolest.
Yeah, my movie memories start with actually they start with Jaws, but then the next thing is meeting Johnny, and so I think that's just how it worked out. Rachel, what are your any final thoughts and summation on this Lion King, on the good Lion King?
I think it's great, and I will also say I think the Broadway musical is really special as well. So that's
Why
See,
wouldn't you try to adapt the Broadway musical if you're going to do? Why not do something different?
agreed.
exactly.
Yeah.
Stanford, what about you? Any final thoughts on the movie?
You know, such a beautiful film, and I'm glad to be able to to talk about it with you, and talking about the original really does in a lot of ways help wash away the horrible thoughts about the trashy remake. So anyway, I'm glad we could talk about the good stuff.
Good. I'm glad. Anyway, talking Disney classics, Rachel, Stanford, again, I'm so grateful that I've been invited into your circles. I'm so glad that I've had these chats with you and that we've become friends and that I've met Stanford obviously face to face, going to meet Rachel, Johnny again when he moves to Utah. We'll all have
I
some
know
kind of
Johnny.
podcast party.
We're gonna have a big movie night.
But yeah, I'm in awe of the two of you and your energy and your knowledge and your personalities and just all the thoughtful. Rich, you talk about doing something thoughtful every hour. Like if I want something thoughtful, I'll listen to you guys chat. And you're just such good friends. You got such good chemistry, and I'm glad I'm able to kind of share some of that. But how can we'll go with Rachel first. How can we reach you if you want to give us your list of all the podcasts and how to how do we listen?
You can find me Rachel's reviews all over the place. That's the best place to look. And right now, for at least the next couple weeks, I'm going to be on the movie show on KSL on Fridays.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
I would really appreciate
Awesome.
support there. But yeah, Rachel's reviews, theater, film, also Hallmarkies podcast. That's the big thing. So
Okay. Again, total awe, Rachel. Total awe of you. Stanford,
Aw.
what about you?
So my podcast is called Movies Past and Present, as mentioned. You can find me at moviespastandpresent.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can follow my movie nuttiness on or slutdom on Instagram. I'm at movies PAP as in past and present.
All right.
You
Movies.
can NostalgiaCast, and that's it. Just NostalgiaCast.
Yeah. That's it. That's all we got going for us. Again, Rachel, Stanford, thank you I call this our bucket list season. It just doesn't have to do with bucket list movies. It's also bucket list conversations, bucket list guests. And I'm so glad that we finally got you on here. I love seeing your faces. And yeah, it's just been an absolute joy. But again, we can talk for hours. We could keep going and going and going on this, but all of us, Rachel especially, I feel bad that I've taken her one night off. So I want to get back to
all right. It's all right.
All right. But yeah, again, it's been such a pleasure and I appreciate you guys so much. And we look forward to having you on again. But until next time, I'm Darin Lumberg.
And I'm Johnny Crowder.
And amateur, lie down before you hurt yourself.
Oh, eat Zazu.
Who's that? Is it
Rachel.
you? Is it?
Oh,
Rachel,
sorry.
go.
Oh, sorry. What was I going to say? We know that your powers of pretension are as weak as a warhead's backside.
What do you want me to do? Dress and drag and do the hula?
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Okay. And then we'll end it there. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Way to end it.
Almost a
fun.
2-hour epic conversation. I appreciate that.
This
Have
was
fun
so
editing
much
that.
fun.
It's fine. You guys just talk, so I'm like, oh, I don't have to do anything at all. This is great. I'll just let them go.
Well,
You're
feel free to
so-
edit as much as you want.
I know. Just
Don't
you
be
can
shy.
cut out all my whining. Sorry, guys.
Oh, you're fine.
Live action Disney is what just sends me over the.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
terrible. That's
The
terrible.
It's
edge.
rough.
I'm
But
sorry.
this is
I'm sorry.
so no, you're good. I'm sorry you had to listen to me. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for including me. I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you. What an honor to be on your podcast. You guys do
Very
such cool
fun.
work.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is a delight.
We
Thank you.
appreciate that. Yeah, again, we could have gone on. Don't apologize because I think as Disney people, we need to say our piece on them. It just doesn't make sense to us.
Yeah,
So
it's fun. All right, I will talk to you all later.
okay,
Bye. Have a good night.
you
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you
Bye.
soon.